So when Duncan Grant had his first exhibition in 1920, he just turned 35 years old, which seems quite late for an artist to have such a significant moment in his career. He'd been born in 1885. He was born in Scotland, but he grew up in India. And he came back to London for schooling when he was 9 years old, and he went to various private schools. He went to St. Paul's School, and then his aunt, who he was living with, Lady Jane Strachey, this incredible woman, realised that his talents were artistic, that they weren't necessarily academic. And so she encouraged Duncan Grant's parents to let him go to an art school. So he was allowed to go to the Westminster School of Art, and then eventually he went to Paris and he studied there. And while he was in Paris, he wasn't very interested in the new artistic movements. He wasn't going to see these sort of exciting shows by Matisse and people like him. He was going to the Louvre and he was studying older artists. He was studying artists like Chardin and sort of really exploring ways of how they did still lives, of how they rendered surfaces. And I think there are some influences of Chardin in the exhibition here. Then he returned to London and he really got involved with the Bloomsbury group. So his cousin, Lytton Strachey, who had been at Cambridge with this group of young men, all very privileged, but all sort of reaching adulthood as the century was ending, as Queen Victoria was dying, and realizing that things needed to change as they wanted to puncture the pomposity and the hypocrisy of the 19th century and to explore sort of more truthfulness. They got to know Virginia Woolf and Vanessa Bell through one of their friends. And so you had this wonderful group of people that were interested in freedoms for women, freedoms for queers, freedoms for pacifists and political outsiders, and just those personal freedoms that you should live your life the way you want to. And that was very much the basis for how Duncan Grant led his life from that point onwards. So one of the members of the group was Roger Fry, and he was a very important art critic and art historian at the time, and he did an exhibition in 1910 called Manet and the Post-Impressionists that brought over works en masse by artists like Cézanne and Gauguin and Van Gogh, as well as the young Matisse and Picasso, and really sort of blew the art world apart, sort of outraged the old guard, but really excited and energized young artists like Duncan Grant. And it had a big effect on Duncan Grant, and it changed the way he worked. And for the whole of the 1910s, he was really exploring and experimenting. He was using all sorts of different media. He did collage, he tried abstraction, he tried all sorts of different elements. Really, the whole of the 1910s was a period of excitement and change. So throughout the 1910s, he would exhibit in group shows. He would have a painting here, a painting there. He showed 6 works in Roger Fry's second Post-Impressionist exhibition in 1912. He showed with the Camden Town Group. He showed with the Vortices. He sort of, his work was getting known, but only through a handful of paintings. So it wouldn't be until 1920 in this first solo exhibition that the public would actually get to see a whole room, a whole gallery full of Duncan Grant's work.